ha ha ha, they just drop the comments. But when you check the views, there are no views there. Like you'll be wondering, like, what did you guys watch?
Welcome to Forever a Student Podcast, a podcast where the learning never stops. I'm your host, Aubrey Zorai. Can you tell us about your background?
My full names are actually Lawrence Victor. So I'm actually from Delta State, Nigeria, but I was actually born and brought up in Bayelsa State. But right now I'm actually in Lagos. It's like one of the biggest cities in Nigeria. So where everything happens, where you meet everybody, all the celebrities and popular people lifestyle. Yeah, I just recently moved here in 2021. I've actually been in Bayelsa all my life, though. I just had to move here just to make sure I had to take a different step.
Can you just tell us how it was like growing up in Nigeria,
It's actually not bad, no. Growing up in Nigeria, it's not like it's actually that bad. Depending on the areas in which you're actually going from, there are actually different states in Nigeria and with their own kinds of issues and stuff like that. So, like, we actually grew up from the place called Bayelsa. The place, I think one of the major issues we actually have in there is the problem of politicians and cultism that affects the youth. And there's this very, very low level of development, even though it's an oil producing state. This is one of the states that produce natural resources like crude oil that feeds the whole Nigerian. But you need to see the state, bro. It's like way back. It's very outdated. Imagine you using Windows XP. Imagine using a button Nokia phone, a Nokia 3310, when everybody's using an iPhone 14 Plus. It's just like that. When they know like your dad is a billionaire. That's just how that place is, and it's actually infiltrated with a lot of cultism. So if you're not careful enough, you might lose your gadget to some cultists, or you might end up being a cultist. So, but luckily for me, I was just on one side because I had these strict parents that would not let me do this kind of stuff. These God-fearing parents that always guided us to on our left and right on what we should do. So they always want to see us succeed and not to be the bad child in society. So you just need to be the good child in society. So I had to follow that line, and I'm just the kind of person who's always steady and straightforward, and like I got my goals and my plans and what I want to do. So those kind of things I'm hardly moved by things I see. I just had to focus on my goals and stuff like that. So that's just it.
For someone who has grown up in Zimbabwe, I can relate to some of these things, especially on the developmental part. Like you see things just so outdated in this time. It's kind of funny, like you're saying, how can you be using Windows XP? They said Windows 11, you're using a Nokia 320. I understand. It's the African problem we're facing at the moment, but we are the change we want to see. So where did the name Victortrells then come from?
Back then, I was actually just using my name, Victor. I actually had to use a name, Dope Kid Victortrells. The Victortrells was actually from my cousin. My cousin actually had to bring that name. That Trails is like a family name, something. So, but sadly, it's actually no more for now because he passed on some years back. So, I just had to roll on with the name Trails. So I just had to add up the Trails with the Victor to make it Victortrells and then start moving on with it.
Sorry for your loss. I see it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Giving you motivation to continue. I want to ask some more about Victortrells. Is it you or it's something like a persona you go into when you're using the name Victortrells, or it's just if I see Victortrells and identity is one and the same person, or they're two completely different people?
They're actually same personality, just like a username. Everybody has their own username, their own stage name. So it's basically the combination. Because if I was just answering Victor on social media, okay, what's your username? You do this stuff, and then when they ask like, what's your username, and then you say my name is Victor, they'll be like, okay, Victor. If you go online, then type Victor, you see a lot of Victors online. So I just had to say, okay, this should be my username because it's actually one unique name, and I had to check online. There was actually nobody actually using that name, so I just had to blend in with it. And since it was actually coming from a family person, so I had to just blend everything at once, and then yeah, that's how the whole Victortrells thing goes on. So it's actually just one single person.
Okay, that's really interesting. Let's talk about some visual effects. What got you into visual effects?
Okay, I would say back in 2017, that was when I actually started VFX. But before then, I was actually into comedy skits. I started making video when I was actually 8. So I actually started making comedy skit when I was 15. I was actually doing stuff people were actually getting, but they were not actually getting into much because one thing about Nigeria is that everybody's trying to save their data. Everybody's trying to minimize how they use their data to work. So it was something else for me. So I was actually doing a lot of comedy skits, but I was not actually getting engagement, no views. Like a lot of people were actually, when you post a video, people just be like, ha ha ha, they just drop the comments. But when you check the views, there are no views there. Like you'll be wondering, like, what did you guys watch? If you guys actually commenting ha ha on the video, you're actually commenting when you haven't watched it just because it's a comedy skit you've now actually watched. So you're just actually dropping a comment just so I don't feel bad. So I actually got frustrated somehow. So I think I had to go to my uncle's place. So there was some kind of issue that actually bust out, and then it was something else for me. I actually feel scared, and I was actually depressed for like I think 2 months because the whole issue actually had to drain me. So I actually stopped making anything. I was just there for some time, and then finally I had to see these guys. This guy called Exploit Comedy. They actually make comedy skits, but they kind of add some kind of effect to it. So luckily for me, I was actually having one of them on my friend list on Facebook. So I was like, how do you make this stuff? Like, I want to be doing stuff like this. I want to start doing stuff like this. It was like, I make it on my computer and then I use the software called After Effects to do this. So I was like, oh, I love to do this. So luckily for me, my dad had to buy me a computer. So fairly used computer. I had to go start learning how to use the VFX thing. And that was how I actually started learning VFX every day for 7 months, just deep diving into the software, teaching myself. I had to go online to make more research, and then that was how I actually got good with this stuff over time. And then till now, I started making more and more videos and advanced like that.
I like what you said about you're very sort of different, determined, and you're goal focused. Can you tell me how you got into that mentality?
It's due to the stuff I want to be. Like I had to plan everything. Like just like this is what I want to become in the future. This is what I want to do. So and I know this are the path I need to follow. If I follow this other way, I'm not going to get to that place I want to get to, yeah, or to that person I want to be in the future. So I just had to focus myself. Okay, for me to be this person I want to be in the future, I have to follow this path. There are a lot of things I need to sacrifice, and these are the goals. These are the norms. These are everything I need to put down to get to that place. If I start going the other way, it's to affect the future person I want to become. So I just had to say, okay, you know what, this is what I want to become, and I had to just shut down that negative vibes and all those other thoughts. So just had to start moving on my own way because there were a lot of friends that were actually like, come on, bro, you're too serious with your computer. Every time you just with your computer, you're always on your phone, you're always making research. When everybody's sleeping at night, you're always up all night making research and doing stuff. Like, I was like, no problem. Like, a lot of people actually discouraged me, laughed at me so many times, but I just had to say, no problem, bro. This is what I want to do. Right now, things are actually changed so fast that those guys are actually laughing at me. Are the ones now in my DM, like, be like, whoa, bro, this is who you become. Like, we never thought you actually become someone like this. Like, everything changed and happened so fast.
Mad respect. It is what it is. People are always laughing at the start, like what you're doing is crazy. Then when they finally begin the results, that's when
Yeah.
they act like they knew you're already going places. There's this situation with young creators, especially African creators, where they're very talented, but they're afraid to show their work. How did
Yeah.
you overcome that? You're saying, okay, I think I'm not competent or I'm not good enough to start showing my work. How do you overcome that fear or people might reject or something? For example, you said you were doing comedy skits
Yeah.
before. How did you get to that stage of being comfortable enough to show your work to other people?
When I actually started, I'm not gonna lie, I was actually ashamed because most times I'm this kind of person who's always indoors, I want to do my thing. So when they start seeing you doing comedy skits, at first I just started with just me and my brother. So when I started showing it out to people, slowly. So let me say, my first fan base was my younger sister because she was always my camera person. She was the person who was actually behind the camera shooting all the videos for us. So after that, I would do edits. Then if she's not around, I use my share or my shoes as my tripod to record. So and then we start shooting just like that. And then slowly I started posting on Facebook. So my Facebook friends started seeing it slowly. And then while they were seeing it, I started telling them like when I was in school, I was like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I used to make comments. I used to tell my teachers. So I stopped being ashamed because I normally go out to make debates, like school debates. So I was like, okay, say if I can talk to the whole school in public and then without being ashamed, then I can actually talk about my YouTube channel to these people. So I started talking about my YouTube channel to them, and they were like, okay, why do you want us to subscribe? I was like, I make comedy skits. They were like, is it as funny? You start making reference to other comedians. Are you as funny as this person? They start comparing me with other people. I was like, funny as them, but don't worry, with time I'll get there. So I started telling them to subscribe. So luckily for them, most times I talk to like 50 people and then only 2 people will subscribe. Because like a lot of people were not having an Android phone back then. Back then in 2016, a lot of people were not having an Android phone back then in Nigeria. So it was something else for me. But we actually had to move on, and then with time I actually started getting used to it. Unlike now that I'm already used to it, and then everything is just straightforward.
I can relate with you. I think for me, it's the same thing with starting the podcast. You're just there in your room or somewhere. You have this idea in your mind, but it will remain the idea if it stays in your mind. We continue back to your VFX journey.
Yeah.
You said 7 months, you've been editing and stuff. In that period, have you released anything Instagram content I haven't really seen a lot of like big films. I've mostly seen clips. Is there a film in
Yeah,
making? You're trying to make?
I released several videos though. I released several videos. Like my first major video I released back then when we actually started. The first video was just like a magic vine. I did a magic something like where I actually turned water into wine. That was my first major VFX video I did back then. Me doing magic. So, but then after that, I released a video called Heroes Epic Nigerian. That was the genesis of Nigerian Doctor Strange on YouTube. So that was the main video that actually got me to places, got me connected to a lot of people that I love actually seeing because it was just me and my younger brother. My younger brother had to play the Flash and I was playing Nigerian Doctor Strange. I just started to try to make something different. So it was just me portraying the powers of Doctor Strange and then doing a lot of extra stuff, extra teas to it to make it look more Nigerian like. So that was the first major project we did. It took me about a month to film and then about 3 months to edit the video. The video was just about 6 minutes. So yeah, that was our major video the first time. Now that video is actually having like I think close to about 40,000 and so on. We've got other projects like the Optef. We're supposed to release the part 3. We've actually released part 1, part 2. So we're still working on the part 3. We are still on the post production. And aside that, we have other short sci-fi videos we've made. They're all on my YouTube channel.
Wow. It
Yeah.
took you 3 months, 3 months to do the VFX. That is amazing. VFX is not something which can be done very fastly. I've dabbled in VFX. I know I'm just being on your Instagram for 15.3K followers. How was it when you woke up one day and you finally took it into your mind? I have this many followers. People were interested in my work.
It feels normal because it didn't just come in just one day. It was actually growing slowly. You know that kind of thing where you're actually trying to build a house. You don't just build up the house in one day. You actually come today, lay the
Hmm.
foundation, lay a block, a brick, and then start putting rods and stuff like that. So slowly started going up. I think the part that was shocked me was my Facebook page. My Facebook page has been down for years. Like it's been down for years. So recently, I just moved into this part of the Nigeria called Lagos, where it has a lot of celebrities. So lucky enough for me, I did a video with a celebrity here. I was just having 10,000 followers. So when he posted the video, if you go check YouTube, you can check something like Nigerian Doctor Strange versus Master Lee. The guy is actually a popular guy here in Nigeria. So when we did the video actually went viral. It got like 800,000 views on his page. So people started looking because at the end of the video, it's a visual by Victortrells. People started moving from his page, started looking for me on YouTube, all around to my page, and then voila, that was how I actually got a lot of followers on Facebook, not Instagram though. My Instagram was already at 13,000 followers. So after the whole thing, my page actually moved from 13,000 to 15,000. Just actually moved. So I actually watched it grow over time. So right now, if I upload new videos on my Facebook, it's actually really strong. Like I could get up to 100,000 view, 200,000 view. Like a lot of things has changed just because of that one collaboration, and I actually got a lot of collaborations from other celebrities too over time.
Wow, that's really amazing. I really like to see the growth that you said was growing slow, then over time is getting momentum,
Yeah,
and now
yeah.
yeah, you have to do. Who are your role models in the VFX space, both wise and international?
I actually check in Africa. There, I do not actually have anyone in Africa though. But there are good people I do really want to be like though. But my aim, I just don't aim just to settle for those who are actually a bit less. But I do actually wish to be like them though too. But when it comes to the VFX industry, I do tend to always picture that of the Marvel Studio or DC Universe. And that's of the likes of James Cameron. Like he's not a VFX artist, he's actually a director though. The VFX artists behind those kind of CGI, strong CGI, those are the kind of stuff I actually want to walk into. Those are the kind of VFX stuff I want to venture, and those are my role models in VFX. Although they are actually a company and not just one significant person though, but those are the kind of people I actually want to be like when I actually tend to go further in VFX and filmmaking too.
I would like to talk about your masterclass. I remember you released the masterclass, and I wanted to ask how is the journey of being a teacher now?
Okay, the masterclass I actually released it because I actually released that I think last year, sometime ago last year, because a lot of people were actually asking me like they were actually asking me if I do teach VFX because I've actually been doing VFX classes, but they were actually tutorials on YouTube. So a lot of people were like, oh, they want to see the master class, they want to see something like that. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna make a master class for everybody so everybody can actually dive into so everybody can learn. So I had to take my time to I think it took me about 2 months or 4 months to make that master class, and then I recorded all the tutorials, put the assets and plugin and VFX and everything everybody be needing to get the master class. So at the end of the day, I actually had to compile everything and then put it up online. So few people actually purchased though. At least over, I think about 6 persons have actually purchased the master class. The others were actually saying the price were too high, so we had to do a Black Friday where extra people have to purchase the classes.
It's always good to give back to the community. You have learned something. It's always good to give back to people and help them also learn the skills.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
need more video effects in Africa, and I see you're leading an initiative. Then our last question of the day
yeah.
is gonna be: what can we expect in the near future? A film, a TV show, anything in particular?
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to work on different series of video. Like you see that video called the Optef. There's actually like a series, but we just had to do 3 episodes because we're out of budgets, and then there are a lot of things that were not into places. But we had to try our best to make sure everything was intact. Because, like I said, when I was in Bielsa, one of our major issue was cultism. So we're actually afraid that we don't want to get involved in any of this cultist clash because you might actually be shooting a video and then cultists might just come out from nowhere and then they just go take your cameras and stuff like that. And then when you try to fight back, they might get you injured, or they might point you with a gun, and then when you try to fight back, they might shoot you off, and then that will be the end of your storyline. So we were actually in a rush to make everything finish on time. There were some good looking locations that were actually rugged and stunt for sci-fi video, but we can't actually go use those areas because we're actually afraid of those cultists around the everyone. So that's just the thing. We just don't want to get involved in anything. So definitely in the future, definitely we'll be making more videos and into series and probably a full film sooner. We just want to work on our budgets and to get the necessary gadgets and requisite resources to make everything work out for us.